Guys, this is FrostyCat13, and today I'm going to be doing a tutorial. Well, I guess it's not really a tutorial. It's more of a how I draw Pegasus wings, because I've been getting a lot of requests asking me, well, here on YouTube and on DeviantArt, asking me how I draw wings in my style. So I'm going to be showing you exactly how I sketch them, ink them, and color them. And so yeah, I think that's it. And for this, I'm just using normal cardstock that you get from Walmart. It's not Copic Express It blending card or anything like that. It's just normal paper. And I'm using a normal mechanical pencil because that's what I usually use for all my sketches and stuff. And just one of those little Walmart latex erasers that you get. And for inking, I'm going to be using Copic multi-liners. And I'm not sure what size yet. I'll figure out here in a minute. And for coloring, I'm going to be using Copic sketch markers and possibly Copic chow markers. So that's all the... Oh, no, wait, I forgot something. And I'm also going to be using a uniball white gel pen for highlights on the feathers and stuff. So that's all the tools I'm going to be using. So I guess we'll get started with the sketch now. Let me zoom in. And the sketch may not show up very well at first because I don't usually press hard when I first start drawing, but eventually it will. So to start, it's always good to know wing anatomy, and the way you can know that is by looking at pictures of wings and watching videos of birds. I mean, that may sound really stupid, but if you don't naturally just know what wing anatomy is, it's a good idea to look it up and watch videos on how wings move and everything. So right now I'm just doing the outline of a wing, and you guys can see that I don't draw them in show style. I draw them with a lot of feathers and I draw them big. And oh, this pencil's about to run out of lead. I'll get a new pencil in just a minute if that happens. And I always make the feathers right at the end real little and kind of feathery. I always make them real round and stuff. I don't know, because that's just my style. So there's the basic outline of a wing. And the way I draw them closed is just, I'm going to be showing you, anyway, I forgot to say, I'm going to be drawing a wing open, I'm going to be drawing a wing closed, and one extended, I guess. So here's the one I'm going to be doing closed. And the way I draw wings closed is just by sketching the normal shape of a show style wing, but then making it a little bit longer, and the feathers on the inside longer, and then and I always have more of those little lines that mark the feather tips. I always have more of those. So there's how I draw a closed wing. So here's an open wing and a closed wing. And I'm going to draw the inside of a closed wing. And the way I do that is I always start about right here. And I do kind of a feathery lines with my pencil to kind of mark where the bone is kind of jutting out, where the joint is. And get the line. I have no idea what you call this. We'll just call it a ridge. The ridge of the wing or whatever on the inside. And it just comes up and curls around, and I make the inside feathers. And I always try to touch the inside feathers to the little points of the tall outside feathers. So there's that, and then I draw even more inside feathers. And more. And more. And I try to fit as many little feathers in there as I possibly can because I want it to look as detailed and realistic as possible. I don't know why, because it's a show about cartoon horses, but I do anyway. So I'll zoom in here to let you guys get a better view of the wing. There it is. I'll just zoom out again. Okay, now I'm gonna mark the feather lines, and yeah, this pencil is out of lead now. So I'll just get another pencil. Okay, so there's that. And the way I draw like the individual feathers is by doing one line that goes all the way through the feather, touching the end. And I do each long feather this way. Just kind of divide them in half, if you know what I mean. Okay, so there's that. And then I draw the little branches of the lines in the feathers. And let me zoom in a little bit more here. Kind of show you guys. Oh, it may not focus. Yeah, it's not going to focus. Alright, that's probably as good as we're going to get there. So the little branches, or the lines that kind of separate the feather, try to do them randomly on the sides. Don't just do like, you know, lines like that. Try to make them random. Here, I'll move this up here. See that? There we go. They're not all like, it's not like V-shaped. There's not like a line here and then it comes right back up. It's just all separate lines going in separate directions. So there's that, and I'm going to go ahead and draw the rest of these. And this doesn't take long. And sometimes I don't even use these lines for the inking. They just give me kind of a general idea of what the wing is going to look like. So there are the outside feathers, and for the inside feathers I just basically do the same thing. One line up the middle, and then little lines on the inside. Okay, and then I never bother to do, for all these little feathers, I never bother to draw the little lines inside of them just because it's too hard and it takes too long and you don't really need it. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a few more little details to flesh out my wing a little bit more. And that's usually it. That's about how I draw a normal wing. So, and there's the little close one I did, and I told you I was going to draw an extended one, but I don't think I am now, just because this pretty much explains to you what I was going to do with the extended wing. So there's that. And sorry if I sound all weird and stuff in these videos. I just get all awkward when I'm talking in front of the camera. So, alright, I'm going to be using 0.3 in the multi-liner size to ink this wing. And the way I ink, I don't know if I've showed you guys this before, I don't have a light box. I want one, but I don't have one. So I just do all my drawings right on the paper I'm going to color on, and I ink on them and everything. It's just how I do it. So I always try to start with a smooth line, and the key to good inking is to know exactly where you're going and have your next move planned out. Otherwise your lines will be all wobbly and stuff. And you guys can see I'm starting with the inside of the wing first. That's what I usually do. And then I move on to the outside of the wing. And here's something else I don't do in the sketches. I try to put these little, like, these little separations in the feathers to make them look more lifelike. Just because that's the way I like it. It's my style. And some of the feathers don't have them. But I think they make the wing just look a little bit more authentic. So yeah, there's the basic outline of my wing, and now I'm going to detail the inside feathers here. Okay, so there is my wing with no detailed lines or anything. Now I'm just going to erase the pencil lines that I made, and remember I'm just using a normal eraser. Okay, so there's that. Let me get all this eraser dust off. So there's my basic wing. Now I'm going back in with the 0.3 multi-liner. And I'm going to thicken my lines. And I always, if you look at some of my drawings on DeviantArt, I don't thicken the lines, but when I'm doing like detailed pictures that aren't going to take me a super long time to, well, I'm not going to waste my time, I guess, drawing details, like on, if I would, oh my gosh, I'm so awkward. If I was drawing a big picture with lots of ponies in it, I would just do a simple basic inking like that, but I would use like a thicker multi-liner. But when I'm doing detailed drawings like this, I use small multi-liners and thicken the lines just because. And I always try to thicken the lines in the points where I think the shadows would be, just because I think that makes it more defined and makes it look better. You guys can see me going over the little feathers again. And the very last thing I do is adding those lines in the feathers. I don't know why. I guess you could do those first if you wanted to, but that's just not the way I do it. Okay, so there's that. And now I'm going to do the outside feathers. Okay, there's one feather. This takes forever, so I'm probably going to speed this part of the video up. Okay, so that is the basic inking, like full inking of my wing. And now I'm going to go in with an even smaller multi-liner, 0.1. Get it? There we go. And draw those little lines to the middle. Alright. Oh, forgot one feather. Okay, so there is the basic, well, not basic, I guess. There is just a wing that is inked. And yeah, it takes a while to draw a wing, seeing as I haven't colored it yet. So there it is. So now I'm going to get started with the coloring. And I always start with my lightest color, which in this case is going to be B000, and I always use the super brush tip, and I always start from the base of the wing and just kind of feather up, and when I get to the actual feathers I feather I feather the marker to kind of let it fade out into white in the middle of the feather, and then from the top of the feather I feather back down. There's too many feathers. So I try to leave like a highlight in the middle of the feather. And when you get down into these smaller feathers, you'll notice that you can't really feather anymore. So that's when you just have to just do like a line with your marker basically for the highlight. And sometimes I'll do some highlights in these inside feathers, sometimes I won't, depends on the light. But I'm going to make this an extremely glossy wing and leave some of those parts white. So there's the basic outline of my wing. Now I'm going to go in with my next darkest color, which is just B00 Frost Blue. I'm going to start the shading, and I'm going to start along the inside of the wing and just kind of lay down a little bit of shadow here. And I always try to outline the edges of each feather, just because. And I always mark the line that goes straight down the middle of the wing. Okay, so there's some basic shading. And I'm going to go in with my next darkest color, which is B01. And just basically do the same thing I just did with B00. By now you can tell that I'm actually shading and not just going over with the same color. So there is that, and then I'm going to blend out right here where a little bit of that shading seems a little dark. Alright, so there's that, and it still doesn't look super shaded. And since I don't have the right Copic color to shade the rest of the wing, my other Copic colors are just too dark, I'm going to use a Pro Marker color here. I'm just going to use Arctic Blue. And I'm going to go over the edges with it, just like I did with all the other markers. And once I have that, I'm going to kind of do the feathers a little bit better. Go down that middle line again. And here's the part where I outline the little black lines there. I just take my Arctic Blue and do those little lines. Okay, so that is that color. And for the very last color I'm going to use another Pro Marker color, and it's just sky blue. So there's the inside of the wing, and now for the feather lines. And I am marking some of the little branch lines, I guess, with my darkest color, the sky blue. But I'm only doing the bottom edges of the feathers and not the top edges, because that makes it look more shaded, in my opinion. Okay, and then I'm going to blend it out just one more time. And there you have it. There's my colored wing. But we're still not done. There's a little bit more. You know what? That doesn't look shaded enough. So I am going to bring in one last color, even though I said that last time. And this is another Pro Marker color, and it is called Cyan. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's C-Y-A-N. Cyan. I don't know, whatever. So, just doing the very last shaded parts. And just the more shading, the better in some cases. It all just really ties it together, makes it look finished, and polished, and just makes it look nice. And blending again. Okay, so now that's for real the last one. And I'm just going to show you all the colors I used now, if you guys wanted to see that. Oops, wrong one. So there they are. 6 colors. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I go back in with my white pen and do all the little highlighted spots. So this pen is almost out of ink, so some of the lines may be a little patchy and it might break a little bit, but for the most part it doesn't really matter. And the first thing I always do is I add a little like highlight thing at the top. I just curl right around the top edge of those feathers. And this may or may not show up on the camera. If it doesn't, that's okay. And I just do the same thing to the inside feathers. Sorry, there we go. And then I'm just going to add little dots right in this teeny tiny little feathers that are at the very inside of the wing. And then I do a line right along the edge of the wing here, and then I take my finger and I smudge out the ink just to give a little bit of a highlight. And I do the same thing on the outside of the wing, but I just leave that one intact. I don't smudge it with my fingers or anything. Then I go back into the feathers and I highlight the line that goes down the middle. And that's it. There you have it. That is how I draw wings. So that's just the folded out one. And now I'm going to show you how to draw the smaller one, and it's going to be really short, and I'm just going to speed the whole thing up since I already showed you the process. So that's it. Okay, so there's a folded up wing, and I think that's it. So thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to subscribe for more how I draw videos, tutorials, speed paints, and like Copic marker tips and stuff. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.